Okay, so this is a big one, and I think most people don't talk about it. I think part of it comes from the fact that quants and people in the quantitative maths, engineering areas, we're so focused on math, we like fail to stop and look up at the soft side of things. So like the environment of the program is really big. One of the key parts here is the cohorts in your program. So if all of the students have the same mentality, that can be good and that can be bad. One of the benefits I found was that I went to college, both my degrees, in smaller college towns, which was really beneficial because there's nothing else to do. Like you're at school to go to school. And so it was always fun to like meet up with other students and say, hey, we have like math 526 that's due on Wednesday. Let's all get together and like start working through the assignments and working as a team. And we ended up creating a group, at least the one I was in, where it was like one of us was the computer science expert, one was the math expert, one was the stats expert. And we ended up being able to help each other learn better just because of the environment and the students. I think if I was in New York City, I would have spent more of my time probably not doing actual academics and studying. And so I think a lot of that would have been a kind of a disadvantage for me in the studying side. The staff in the programs is something else that's very, very hard to rank or to think about. But we had a professor who was a chief risk officer at a hedge fund, and then he just loved to teach. So he was just teaching on the side. He'd fly in from New York City and come and teach. And then he ended up hiring a friend of his that was a CRO at another company. And that guy was flying in every Friday to teach our class from New York back and forth. But I learned more from him than any other professor because A, he took the time to like sit down and teach you like in the industry, this isn't how it's done. Let me show you like why it doesn't work. And he could really like engage you in the topics. So having that on the campus and the university was good. Also having staff support is crucial. So some professors were just mean and nasty and they worked there essentially their 9 to 5. They didn't care about the students. But there were a lot of resources on campus that we had access to from like career counseling and advisors and professors to talk to and people that kind of cared and supported you. And then at the same time, right, we had a bunch of other students that were all kind of rallying with you in the same program and we're kind of doing it as a team. And I think there are a lot of universities I've seen that it's like the rigor's not so high, the homework's not really the focus, they're off kind of doing their own daily lives and they're not really focused on the materials. And so kind of picking a program that fits your background. Like, do you really want that big city feel? Do you want to be in New York or Chicago? It's awesome. It's great to network and connect with professionals. But at the same time, you might not be able to focus as much on your academics. Or do you want that small town feel where you hopefully have better attention to you? So one of the, I guess, rankings that we would like to see, a lot of people have talked about, is number of students per class. So if you're in a class with 100 students, you're not going to get any attention. And a lot of financial engineering is complicated and it makes no sense until you get all these pieces put together in your mind. But having smaller classes is usually more beneficial because you make better relationships with the kids around you, and then you also get better attention from the professors. So picking schools, I think that's crucial. Is look at the environment, look at the resources you have, look at career development. So that's a huge, huge thing here. I've seen some of the worst written resumes from the brightest people, and then they go unemployed, and they already have a financial engineering degree from another country. Then they come to the US, they get another degree here, and then they graduate, and they don't have a well-written resume. They don't have the interpersonal skills. I think things that like programs should be trying to pull into is how do you talk to people in the industry? How do you interview well? I'm an example of probably the worst case scenario because we had free interview services, but I was like, I mean, I'm even American, so I speak English. And most of my classmates didn't speak English. But I was like too embarrassed to go down and sit with somebody and say, hey, let's have a fake interview and like go through the process. So for me, I failed probably a good 50, 60 interviews before I even got an offer from someone. And looking back, it was like, wow, that was really dumb. Like I should have just spent the time with someone who didn't matter, who was there to train you and give you feedback. But it's hard to overcome, I think, a lot of these barriers, especially for a lot of quants, because we're not really social beings outside of our kind of circle of friends. So